Hey everyone, it's Bob McCraney with Texas Pride Realty Group, and I am so happy to have Jesse Mitchell with us today. Jesse is one of our lender friends. Jesse, introduce yourself to everybody.
Hello, I am Jesse Mitchell with Gold Financial. Definitely here, ready to work with some people and see about getting them started on their journey into a new home.
Okay, so Jesse, talk about the application process, if you will. What are some of the things that we need to have put together when we come to you and say, hey, we want to buy this house?
Okay, well, honestly, once you have made that decision, or even if you're just considering, the application process is important so we can determine exactly how much house you can buy. So one of the things we are going to look at, once you've completed the application, and you would go online, fill it out as much as you can, try not to leave anything blank. Once I receive that application, the first thing that's going to be run will be the credit review. The first thing that has to happen is that you have to have credit approval. Once you have credit approval, we will ask for documents such as pay stubs, bank statements, etc.
Okay.
Now, I do want to take a second there. When I say credit approval, it would be advantageous to gain an approval, and later on when we're looking at what your rate would be or the result of what your rate would be, when you're looking at credit score, you do want to try and have, I would suggest, a 620 or above.
Okay.
And that's just in general, and I want to explain why I suggest at least that. The higher the score, the better. So, I mean, we definitely would like for you to have a 7, 750, and 8. But
Wouldn't we all?
yeah, right. But the reason I say this is that if you're looking at anything below, say, a 620 or a 600, it's possible that you could be approved for a loan, but the approval may come with some conditions, meaning you may have a higher down payment than you'd normally have. Most down payments in general are going to run you about 3.5% of the sales price, 5% of the sales price. When you're dealing with the lower credit score, if you get an approval with the lower credit score, you may be looking at 10% or more that you may have to put down. And the approval may also ask that you carry more assets, meaning that you're showing that in the event that you are able to get a home, you're able to cover, say, maybe 2-4 months payments just based on your assets alone. And this is after you've closed on a house and gotten the keys to your house, meaning we still we may need to see more money in your account. In your savings.
Okay. So why should somebody purchase today instead of renting?
Good reason to purchase today instead of renting. Your home is an investment.
Yeah.
Think of it that way. Think of what you're doing, how you're going forward. Your home is going to work for you for several reasons. One, it's a home. You're going to live there. Two, you can do things to raise the value of your home so that if you decided to move away from that home, maybe you're going to sell it. Well, that's some money you may be able to get back from your investment. Perhaps you decide that you want a second home and you're going to keep the first home. Maybe at some point you want to come back to it. Now maybe it's a rental property. These are things that you cannot do with an apartment. You cannot sell your apartment. So you can put time and money in the apartment, even though you've called people to fix some things in the apartment. You haven't been able to make your own decisions, painting a wall maybe, or doing various things. So you'd have no money coming back to you from all the money you've put into an apartment for months and for years. The other thing is, if you decided that you really like where you're at, if it's an apartment, you can't really keep it. I mean, you could, but you're paying rent on it each month and you're still taking a chance of what may happen. You have very little control over that. So again, a home is an investment, and it is something that if you did decide to do something later, maybe you want to do improvements to the home. Maybe you reach a point where you want to do vacation, do something for the kids, and you need additional money that you may not have readily on hand, or maybe you don't want to tap into your savings. You could have savings, but just because you have it doesn't mean that's what you want to go to every time you get ready to do something. And with a home that you own, if you've been there long enough, things are right, and that's where you'd also come back to me so we can go over the numbers. Perhaps you'd be able to do a refinance and take some cash out of the home to help you out with what you're looking to do.
Excellent. So you talked about credit score. You talked about the documents we need. What is something that somebody doesn't expect when they're signing up for a loan? What would be some piece of advice that people aren't going to know that you would tell them?
We'll go back to credit.
Okay.
Your credit approval, your score is going to be the main thing that's going to speak for you. So we discussed that a little earlier about having, as I said earlier, I would suggest maybe a 620, definitely above if you can. Your other thing is your credit history. No matter what that number looks like, a lot of people don't look at it this way. Your credit carries two things. It carries a history of what you've done over a period of time. And remember, when you're going to get a loan, you're asking for an investor or a banker to give you money.
Yeah.
Give you, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're making that decision based on the risk of giving that money to you. Your credit history informs them of how much of a risk you may pose, how well your payment behavior, which is the second part, indicates your habits of paying back on an outstanding loan. You pay back regularly? Do you let it lag behind? Different things of that nature. What I want people to keep in mind is that we're all human. Things can happen. If you've had an incident that happened that caused you to have a little bit of a bump in the road, that's one thing, and that's something that can be looked at. But if your credit history indicates that you're continually having bumps in the road, that could be indicative of a bigger problem or a bigger challenge. And it could be that we can get past that challenge. But if you're going to do the application, go through the process, remember your credit behavior shown by your credit history is going to have an impact on your approval, your rate, and ultimately the decision as to whether you would be approved for a loan and how much of a loan.
Okay, wonderful. So Jesse, how would somebody contact you?
You are welcome to contact me directly at my phone number, which is 817-228-3021. You can reach out to me before 5 o'clock and after 5 o'clock on just about any given day. If you feel like it's too late to reach out to me, text me. I'm okay with that. You can also reach me by email, which would be J Mitchell, my name there, Jesse, J Mitchell @goldfinancial.com. If you'd like to send me an email. And ultimately, if you want to get a little bit more information on me, as well as the process, you can log on to my website, which is lorenzalending.com. So Lorenza, that ends with an A instead of an O, for those of us who live in the Texas area who probably know more than one Lorenzo. So it's spelled just like Lorenzo, except it ends with an A instead of an O. But those two words together, lorenzalending.com.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here. Will you come back next quarter and chat about the market?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay, take care. Thanks for being
Thank you,
here.
Bob. Thank you very much, everybody.